Getting this all set up. All right. Aloha and welcome to the Collective Healing 911 in honor of the Memorial Day of that great tragedy that happened many years ago. And I felt really called to do a collective healing on this today. And it's like, I'm driving down the coast right now from Seattle down to San Diego. And it's like, I don't know why, but the beings of light told me that must happen. So this is what we're doing. I'm grateful for all the friends that have come to join. And I want to apologize because I am dealing with hotel internet that seems to click in and out. So hopefully my picture will still remain for a certain amount of time. If you guys wanted to unmute yourself for a second, I'd love to hear a little bit of a story, like your stories of what it was like on the day that the day of 9/11. Like, I want to bring this into the collective consciousness of what's actually happening here and now. Like, what are we bringing to the table? So does anyone have like a quick story that they'd like to share about what they were experiencing or what happened that day? Anyone?
Can you hear me?
I can hear you barely.
It's Carrie.
Hi, Carrie.
What's up?
How are you?
So it's not loud. So I'm having trouble on my end. Like, I can't get the video up.
Okay.
Cool. But I was teaching in the classroom right outside of DC on that day.
Mm-hmm.
So all the kids were watching all of the things happening and watching it all happen. And then all the parents started calling, so a lot of them worked downtown at the Pentagon and places. So it was kind of interesting that day. And it was just really quiet.
Right. There was a very unique quietness that happened because all the airplanes and helicopters and everything stopped flying over. And you were in Washington, D.C. when that was happening, right, Carrie?
Yes. Yeah.
Right.
Yes, I was.
And how were the children reacting? Did they know about it?
They were all watching it, but I don't think they understood what it all meant. They knew something was happening, but they could feel it, but they didn't make that next jump of there was more planes and that, more things could happen and maybe we were going to war and they didn't know how to react to that,
Right.
Everybody, all the teachers, everybody just kind of came together to try to be there to talk to the kids about what's going on.
Right.
But a lot of the parents were more freaked out than the kids were.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. I think the kids probably didn't know exactly what was going on. Does anyone else have a story they'd like to share about what they were doing or what they were experiencing at the time when we saw those airplanes hit into the Twin Towers?
Yamanya, hi, it's Ruth.
Hi.
I was actually on the fourth floor of City Hall in Miami Beach where I worked, and I was in the director's office of the Public Works Department, and he had the television on, and all of us just gathered around there, and the only thing I remember besides the shock was the silence. It was silent. The entire building just went silent. And there was a lot of fear in the air.
Right. I actually start to get really emotional when I hear about the silence. And I'll share a little bit about what was going on for me. I was 25 and I had just been studying for the past 2 years with a pretty amazing spiritual teacher, and we had been working with, my roommate was working with tarot cards, and we kept pulling the night before, we kept pulling the tower card. And I don't know if you're familiar with the Rider Right deck, but it's like this tower and there's like flames coming out and people jumping out of it. And everything that we kept pulling, the tower card. Couldn't understand it. And then in the morning, I was in Los Angeles. I was working as an actress at the time. And my roommate called me and woke me up and pulled me out to watch the TV. And, you know, there was this like effort, I think it was the energetics of the fear that initiated the fear of war, like you spoke of, the energy of not knowing what was actually going on, but still feeling it on a very deep level. And then I'm actually going to put this on mute. So, you know, not really knowing what was going to happen, what was going on. And then the eerie stillness, the eerie silence. It was like something within our psyche, something within the American psyche cracked. And it was a piece of our vulnerability that we had never, ever experienced before. So in the vulnerability, what we can oftentimes access is our places of actually resilience, community, understanding, compassion, coming together. So we then went to a church, my group of people that I was studying with and my teacher, and we went to the church and we stood in front and we did a circle and everyone was praying about the families and the people who lost people. And when it came to me, I said, I'd like to thank the souls that have sacrificed their bodies to raise the consciousness of our country. And I feel like that's the foundation of this tragedy, was that these people signed up to be the ones to help awaken, to help sever that piece of us that thinks that we're invincible. It's like we're like the teenager who thinks we're invincible. And then allowing those aspects of that vulnerability to arise, where you saw people coming out of the woodwork to just team together and bridge together and rebuild and save people. I mean, good Samaritans from all over the place. I mean, this is very emotional for me. And so I just want to bring those aspects to the table, that not only did we suffer a tragedy, but we also suffered a triumph, even though it may not seem like it. But there was a piece that our country needed. There was a piece that we as individuals needed and the world needed to see this type of thing happen. When I tried to tune into this today, usually I channel and bring through information and then kind of spew it out to you guys. They didn't really give me a whole lot because they want me to channel directly. So I'm going to unmute you guys again. And I'm actually going to go into a channeling. Just give me a minute because I'm going to do an invocation. And then I'm going to allow you guys, I'm going to have a little bit of a message. And then I'm going to allow you guys to So let me just tune in for a second. Let's all like pull into our bodies and into ourselves, and let's do an invocation for this sacred journey that we're about to step into. A deep breath in and a deep breath out. I call forth upon the divine Christ consciousness to enter into this space, its golden light, infiltrating and penetrating down into every single last molecule, reminding us of the unity consciousness that we are one and the one is us. We call forth upon the angels and the archangels and the form as they are the ones who wrap us in their wings, reminding us of the celestial kingdom and our divine group. And call forth upon the masters and the ascending masters, the ones who have walked this earth before us and now gently from above guide us along our own personal path of ascension and enlightenment. I call forth upon the beings of light, of the galactic light community, the ones who access us the light of our frequency or higher, here to assist us with the sacred and new technologies are here and now. We call forth upon the energy of Mother Gaia, as she is the one who roots us, births us, sustains us, grows us, nurtures us, and may we remember that she is us in our heart. I call forth upon the trees, the sacred tree of life, knowing that it reaches deep into Mother Gaia, drinking up the sweet nectar, and reaching high into the heavens, breathing in the light. A trunk, a sturdy reminder of our courage and our strength, and the branches teach us to bend and blow with life as it chooses to blow us. And I call forth upon the rock people, as they are the Akashic record holders of the past, the present, and the future, knowing that all is simultaneously happening right now. Call forth upon the elementals, as they connect us into our childlike sense of nature and remind us that all the world is magic. Held within the container of the north, the south, the east, and west, above and below, and of course within, we're so grateful for all those that have chosen to come in and assist us. And so it is, and so it shall be, and so it was. No. So I'm going to unmute you all now. Actually, I'm going to keep you muted while I channel, and then I'll unmute you for questions and answers. On the day of the Twin Towers, there was a sacred flame that initiated, that powers itself through in an intertwining, woven piece of unity and fear. We have a choice to whether we want to use these as a catalyst for change in the positive or the negative. As the towers fell, we were brought into a personal awakening. As Carrie had mentioned, into the vulnerability and the deeper aspects of where it is that fear lives within us. We etched a new wall. We etched a new word into the wall of fear. And as we built this wall bigger and bigger and bigger, it started to cloud our vision towards what was and what should be and what can be. And we blocked ourselves from seeing the greater vision, from seeing the greater purpose, from honoring the divine plan. We allowed that fear to penetrate into our psyche. It moved through the consciousness and the grids of the earth, the biosphere, and the larger galactic universe. Now is our time. Now is the time. Now is the time to bring forth the responsibility to rectify and recreate this fear, this divine cauldron of fear that now can be mixed and spiced with divine essence of transfiguring love. Finding that spaces in your heart for those who actually played into the roles that they were determined to play. Those even that were determined as the bad people, and those who were determined as the victims. Outside of this initiation, there was a larger collective that set into motion the crumbling of the systems. This too is part of the bigger plan. And again, we want to emphasize, how can we alleviate the fear, though maybe not in your conscious mind at this moment, or even in the subconscious mind in this moment, but then was imprinted into the collective? How can we bridge our love from the divine source of the collective universal love? Infuse this into these new grids to rectify ourselves back into the place of rightful creation. Starting to unetch and pull down those layers brick by brick, so that we can actually allow ourselves to step into the new field, step into the new creation by recreating and pulling down these walls of fear, and allow that silence, that deep silence that you experienced, as a catalyst of the void space of this new creation. And I know that a lot of people had family members that were lost. And our hearts go out to those whose lives were dramatically shifted in that moment and in that day. And that too, again, is a part of the bigger plan. Sometimes we as humans have a hard time knowing that. But trust us, there is something greater happening, even in the midst of trauma. I think I'd like to open it up for questions, so I'm going to unmute you and allow anyone who would like to ask a question, they can. And I apologize that my video keeps going in and out. Is there anyone who has a question right now?
Yep.
Yamanya, I'll ask a question.
Okay.
As you mentioned, this is part of an unfolding actions that will rectify a lot that we at our conscious levels are not aware of. Is it something that is important for us to stay aware of what's happening without having the emotion tied to it? Or is it better to just not even deal with any of the details and not follow any of the things that are going on?
I'm going to actually respond as Yamanya, not as the beings of light right now, and then I'll see what they have to say. My experience has been that there's some issues and situations that the beings of our life become aware of, that there is some reason that we're becoming aware of it. Like I don't watch the news or anything, but then I find out things about certain things that are happening. And there's some pertinent reason, and yet it is still important to stay detached from the emotional aspect, away from judgment. So not looking at it as bad or wrong or perfect and wonderful. Like it's really more of it just is. The beings of light say, you are just a mere reflector in this game. That which comes into your frequency and field means that you are playing an active role, regardless of if you are actually in the space or not. Meaning that your larger consciousness is interwoven in these minuscule, minute ways. So your conscious awareness actually plays into the encoded frequency of any situation. The more you focus on it, the more it brings the energy into it. So if you want to feed the energy of something good, place your attention and awareness deeply into this space. If you want to not increase the flames, so to say, of an aggravated situation, try to avoid placing too much conscious awareness into that. And again, step back as the observer, knowing that your particular consciousness, body, and field is just playing a specific role that you signed up for. Does that answer your question?
It does. Thank you.
Yeah, totally. Anyone else have a question? I have quite a few of you on here. Looks like I have a chat. Anyone else? All right. So I'm going to get into the collective healing then. If no one has any other questions, I'm going to put you all back on mute. This is your last chance. All right. Muting you all. And it does say that you can unmute yourself if there is something that you pertinently really want to say into this. So what I have brought forth as far as this healing is we're actually working deeply with the earth grids, the earth frequency, the dirt of the earth, and then the root systems of the trees, which is what came through. Because like we talked about, there was a silence that imprints in what the trees actually communicate. There was a overlying energy or frequency that the plants and trees take on, just like we as empaths take on. And this is then communicated through the neural network, what I call the neural network of the root system of the earth, which then also is pulsing information into the larger consciousness grids of the earth and the planet. And then if you guys know my whole thing is then the earth consciousness is actually pulsing up into these other through the sacred geometric spaces like the temples and the pyramids and Stonehenge and the Sphinx and those kind of places actually are beacon or antennas into the larger global consciousness that radiates beyond that. So by just merely taking our awareness and our intentions down into the sacred belly of the earth, we are able to transmute and transfigure these things that have happened. I wrote an article and it's on my blog page, and you're welcome to check it out. But one of the things that I talk about is that in order to shift the global consciousness, we have these consciousness codes or consciousness grids. The fear grid, right? The fear grid that pulsed into the earth from the Twin Towers falling. And then all the other like fear-based actions and reactions that took place afterwards. The more that we dissolve those within ourselves, which is why they say peace begins with us, or something begins with us, transformation begins with us, is because when we have the metamorphosis or transformation within our own body, we are actually literally unplugging ourselves from the grid. It's just like when you watch the movie The Matrix and they come out and they get unplugged. So we're unplugging this particular thread from our individual frequency and we're taking it out. And the more and more that we have people that are unplugging from specific threads of consciousness inside the grid, it becomes unstable. And the grid itself literally cannot survive. And it has to like dissolve and crumble because there are so many holes left in the grid that it is no longer sustainable. So by us doing the individual work, we're actually healing the larger collective. So there's a little bit, you can read the article, it's a little bit better explained that way. But to start off with, I'd like you all to take a moment and just feel into your heart. Coming into your center, coming into yourself. And taking some deep breaths. And then I want you to recall, like we did at the very beginning, with those few stories that we heard. Where were you when you heard about 9/11? Try to really bring yourself back into that day. And then work to bring yourself into what was going on around you. Were there people? Were you in an office? Were you in a school? Were you in your home by yourself? And just taking yourself back in time, try to look around and see how other people are reacting. And now turn your attention and awareness back into how you were feeling in that moment. Was it a sense of uncertainty? And it can be a collection of things. Uncertainty, fear, shock, numbness. For our sweet young little child who was here, she wasn't even here yet. So you just bring in your love. Just feel your love. And just feel into those tangible aspects that were like birthing forth, not only from you, but then also what you may have been picking up from the people around you in that moment. Now taking these and imagining yourself standing on the edge of a forest, like a redwood forest or evergreen forest, one that's really thick with trees. And you can gently hear the breeze of the trees swaying, rustling through as the wind passes by. And now allow yourself to start walking on the path that's before you. Right now, the sun is warm on your skin, but as you start to walk deeper into the forest, maybe climbing over logs or brushing up against ferns, beautiful plants, you start to feel a moisture in the air. And the light starts to trickle in little beams and rays against your skin. And as you move your way deeper and deeper into the forest, the canopy of trees mutes the sunlight. And the dampness feels just moist on your skin. And the earth becomes a little more squishy and soggy and wet. And as you walk deeper and deeper into the forest, you come to this large, enormous tree, a tree that is larger than you have ever seen. The trunk is wider than your arm span, and the roots bury deep, deep, deep into the earth. And allow yourself to place your hands on this great mother tree. Feel her living essence. Imagine, sense, feel, or see the emanating energy of her life force beaming and calibrating your body back into a balanced state. Yo ne yo ye yo yo ye ye ne yo na ya yo ne yo. Hearing the call of the angels as they come in, and they gently take your hand and guide you around to the backside of the tree where there's this small little crevice, but it's large enough for you to fit through. And they guide you down into the center of the tree where you come upon 10 stairs that go down into the earth. Taking those 10 stairs down, 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, starting to get a little darker around you. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. And as you hit the bottom, you're in a pure blackness. It is so black and dark that you cannot even really see the hand in front of you. And yet off in the distance, you see a small crack of light. So allow yourself to walk towards the crack of light beaming through, and it is beaming through this crack in the doorway. It's a closed door with this small little light. Allow yourself to reach down and gently push this door open. It is a thick, heavy door. And as you do, you walk through into this golden illuminated room, a circular room, and the earth creator beings have all gathered. The earth creator beings are the ones that are there recording time, recording the structures, and creating the new. Around a table they sit and they recognize you and they invite you in to sit down with them. So finding a lovely chair, you sit down with the earth creators and greet them and say hello, knowing that you are specifically here for a purpose and a reason. One of the earth creators stands and now asks, "My dear, please lay upon the table the fears, the uncertainty that came about from 9/11, deep into the core energetic emotional body of what we tapped into before. Imagine yourself like reaching into a pocket and pulling out the fear. It may take on a specific shape, a sacred geometric shape. It may be a symbol or an article or a piece of jewelry. It may be just something. Give it substance. Pulling it from your pocket and you lay it upon the table and say, this is the fear. And then run down the list of all the things that you felt before we started this meditation. And with each one of those, retuning in, reach into the emotional essence and pull out of your pocket another object to place on the table. Allowing everything that had been created in your personal system, activated, triggered, to literally be laid out, to be viewed and seen by the creators and by the earth keepers. And you notice them observing them without real attachment, just more in curiosity to see what it is that you have. And in great elation, they are so joyful to know that you are here now, willing to lay all of this on the table to be dissolved and completed. They rise now and form a circle, holding hand to hand around the table, and a beautiful heart field of light creates a thin sheath that now starts to melt down onto these objects that you placed on the table. Via sandia trevianda kia. No eo 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 eo. And as this thin sheath of light dissolves those pieces that are laid upon the table, the sound moves through, the light moves through, and you start to witness these things start to fade and completely disappear from the table. Brandia samayate hiae, Omayate hio, Vandayate hio, Yombae, Ombae, Nae yamayate hio. Laying those on the table, see if there's any last remaining things that need to be pulled and laid. And as you do, they drop into this beautiful sheath of light and completely disappear. Taking a deep breath in and a deep breath out. Feeling those energetic impulses from the past are now being deleted and cleared from the electromagnetic frequency of your cellular memory, deleting it from the past, the present, the future, all timelines, all dimensions, all parallel universes. It is now literally deleting, completely and totally 100% cleared. And that clearing is actually moving its way through that light sheath that has dissolved that fear that was in your body, or the uncertainty, the instability, whatever it was. Now actually this light moves itself through the root system, moving its way through the deep belly of this beautiful tree you're inside, through its roots and all the way around, through its community of roots, from tree to tree to tree. And as it does, each tree actually activates into that beautiful light, clearing and cleansing, moving across the entire planet. This communication web of light energetically moves through and deletes the imprint of the 9/11 trauma from the fields and the hearts and the minds of those all involved, those all affected, deleting the electromagnetic field on all time, spaces, and dimensions from here, now, the present, the past, the future, in all parallel universes, in all dimensions. Rectifying us back so that we can rethread a new perspective, a new thought form, based upon a reality where that does not influence what we generate. Feeling and seeing that light initiate throughout that beautiful web network of trees. Bringing your attention and awareness back into this room, the sacred room with the earth creators. They now lay upon a table a new blueprint, like looking at the house, a new house blueprint. They lay upon the blueprint of the cosmic web of consciousness, the earth modes, and they allow you to take your finger and magically draw a line. There's something that needs to be drawn, a sacred symbol, your name, whatever it is, allow that to be drawn through you onto this blueprint, imprinting it with your frequency and knowledge and understanding now from this new perspective. And the ink now sinks into the paper, and in its own consciousness will thread its way through into building the new systems and the new structures. And as the Earth Keepers now drop their hands and complete the circle of initiation and transformation, they bow to you in great reverence and honor for your courage and willingness to help heal and clear the planet and the people and animals and trees upon it. Feeling completeness and feeling a new spark of joy and love in your heart, you breathe in an initiated new spark of hope and wonderment and unity and community, joy and love. And feel that new frequency moving through your body, all the way through your entire Nadi channels, energy meridians, your grid system, deep into the cells and actually down into the DNA cauldron of that centered field of every single cell. Bowing back to the beautiful earth creators, you now allow yourself to turn around and you push open that door that you came through, back into that deep, deep stillness and blackness that you started. Up at the very top of the stairs, you see a crack of lights. You start making your way up those stairs. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, feeling yourself getting lighter, more expansive. 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. And there are those loving hands of the angels there to greet you as they pull you and allow you to come out through that small crevice in the tree trunk that you walked through to begin with. Out into the open, into the fresh, beautiful air of the forest, breathing in the crispness, the freshness, feeling again the moisture on the skin and the warmth in the air. Feeling a new sense of expansiveness and peace. And now you make your way out of the forest again along the path, brushing up against the ferns and the plants, maybe crawling over large trunks, tree trunks, or pieces of bark, moss. And as you reach towards the end of this forest, the warmth of the sun starts to beam and trickle back in until once again you're standing at the very beginning of this pathway and trail, and you feel the warmth of the skin, warmth of the sun just beaming on your skin in just the right temperature. Raising your face to the sun, you give thanks and gratitude for this here and now moment. Ya sandiadra viatre kia santu. Urayam bayatre siandia kaene. Urofondia santikiati. Gumbayatre sandiatre hiana. Crosondukiatrisi. Vovambayane yakiatra sandea kaene. Vendiatre kia sandiatre gumbayane. Kusonziatia santaetre. Gombaya sanziati evombaya nikiati profombaya trekaina kosonziti esanziapa. Ayo 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 nane inae ayo ayo yane ae hiyam ae ayo. Just taking deep breaths in and feeling the vibration of your body. Coming back into this room, wiggling your fingers and your toes. Breathing the breath of life into the body, filling it up with the expansiveness. Coming out into more conscious and aware space, fully and completely into the room right now. Woo! Nice work, my friends. That was awesome. So I'm going to unmute you because I'd like you to share. What your experience was. Hello. How's everybody doing? Are you guys good?
Yes. Yes.
Yes. How you feeling?
Intense and enlightening.
Say that again.
Intense, enlightening. Yes.
Awesome. So I would love if someone would like to share what it is that they experienced for this, or if they have some insight that they came into or sensations they experienced that they have questions about.
I felt a reconfirmation of an occurrence in 2012, whereas I was on a spiritual quest for healing in my soul that I might be able to embrace and use my gifts. And I returned here to Bisbee, Arizona, and I had a vision as I lay after 27 hours without sleep.
Wow.
And the thing that I felt the most was as though all the pain was going out. And I just felt this again as you walked us through this. All of the pain, all of the fear, all the negativity was going out. And I had a physical experience that I never had felt in my life. Whereas when you feel the feeling of your heart breaking or your soul quaking, it was so intense and to the core of pain. And as soon as I would feel that, it would be released into the most powerful, only thing I can sort of equate it to was an orgasm, but an enlightenment of pure white light. And the pain was going out as the joy was coming back in, and this exchange kept occurring. And in the vision, I had seen a spiraling white light, and I kept feeling like I was going closer and closer towards it, and then it exploded into the black, like he took us into the black. And I went into the black, and as soon as I was in the black, then the light just burst. But as I was going down this spiraling, I kept seeing the door, and it was a thick tomb door, and this was the weirdest thing. A white gloved hand reached around and jerked that door shut, and I heard in my mind's eye the full circle, and the door is closed. And I felt nothing but joy and knew that my peace was coming, that I might share my gifts. And I've kind of gone off of my path, and this just brought me back into my strength.
Woo! Awesome. Wow, that's amazing. Your name didn't come up, and I know you're from Bisbee. You said that. What was that?
She's hanging out here at the house. There's a bunch of us watching you.
Oh,
So we're
great.
having a party. We're having a Yamanya party.
I am Robin, and
Hi, Robin.
and I'm a Bisbee born
She met
baby.
Alyssa. She knows
And Alyssa is my niece, my brother's child. And,
Okay.
yeah, so
Okay, yeah. Thank you, Robin. That's amazing. Thank you so much for sharing that.
yes.
That's incredible.
And you'll hear more of it. It's even more intense than that, but that was a short synopsis.
Well, I'll be in Disney in just a couple weeks.
I'm looking forward to it.
Looking forward to meeting you.
Yes, it'll be good. And is there anybody else that would like to share? I would love to hear. We probably have time for like one more person. I know there's some people out there. Anyone else? You're not a very talkative group today, are you?
Well, if there's nobody else that will jump in, I will jump in.
Awesome.
Okay, so for the first time in a very long time, when you close the meditation, I felt the healing energies just pouring through my hands at a very high frequency. And like I said, it's been a while since I have had that intense feeling of energy pouring forth from my hands.
Can you hold on 1 second?
Mm-hmm.
Carrie, can you turn off can you mute your video? Because that's why we keep popping up onto that green. I think it's you. So if you mute the
Turn off what?
sound, if you mute the sound, then that green little telephone won't keep coming up. Carrie, got it? Sweet. All right. Sorry, Ruthie, you can come back on now.
Oh, okay. So can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you.
Okay.
I wanna see
So,
your face, so where's your video?
okay, there we go. Is
There
that better?
you
Okay. What I was saying was that for the first time in a very long time, I actually I sensed that healing energy just vibrating and pouring forth from my hands. I used to feel that very frequently, and it's been quite a while since I had that intensity return. So that is definitely an important gift that I gratefully accept.
What are you going to do with it?
Let it grow and let's see where it goes.
Right? No intention
Just-
other than just to like stay open and see what they want, because obviously you have a very powerful gift of touch. There's something within your touch. There's something in your hands of creation. There's something you're creating. It doesn't necessarily have to be healing, or if it is, then it is. And if it's not, it's more in like the divine wants to use your hands as a conduit.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So it was very intense, and it still is. I mean, it's just pouring right now.
Yeah. The thing is this session will continue to kind of it'll continue to kind of unfold and percolate in your system, as does all of the like activations that I do. So some of you may not even be fully back yet. So I highly recommend you go put your feet on the earth. And I just like to share like what I got to witness. Like for me, as I'm doing it, I'm channeling it. And they'd show me what journey to take you on. And my body was actually going through it as well, in that I could feel my body tingling and shifting and vibrating. And what I also came to acknowledge was that every person that has shown up here on this call right now, you guys are huge planetary workers. And I'm so excited because that's where my work is moving into, is that I'm not doing this by myself anymore. I'm calling forth the people that are here to help support the planetary collective transformation and activating these grids and doing it as a collective way, not by ourselves anymore. And it is in these group fields, we create a dynamic that couldn't otherwise been achieved if we had tried to do it with either one less person that was here or one more person. It was exactly perfect for what needed to happen right here and right now. And the more and more people that we can start to bridge into this work, the more and more it can actually like bring through all these different codes and frequencies. So that, because in order to shift and change into the new earth, we have to work together. And part of 911 was about bringing back the collective consciousness, bringing back unity, bringing back compassion. I'm just going to bring it all the way back to that, because that's what it was about. And so, you know, we have these specific, you know, things, like good things and challenging things that have happened throughout the centuries, throughout the world. And so I'm going to continue to hold these collective consciousness healing grid activations. For those of you who feel called to do this larger work, for those of you who feel called to do the individual work and activation work, so that you can move into, you know, the greater capacity of what it is that you're supposed to offer in this particular phase in history. And so I just like want to give you guys a deep bow of gratitude for all being here right now. And I'm so glad I listened to my guides, because that felt really powerful and really potent. And so it's really exciting. And so, yeah, I will close this out with a deep prayer. To all the beings of light and to all those who have shown up, we are so eternally grateful for the assistance and help that you have brought forth to us today. May we receive, may we transform, may we activate, may we be, may we be, may we be. And for all that you have offered us today, we are so grateful, and so it is, and so it shall be, and so it was. Deep breath in, deep breath out. And like I said, remember, this will keep percolating. If you have any questions, feel free to email me. I also want to let you know that this is also the birth. This is the birth of my new membership group. So I'm going to put this up on my membership page. It's a paid membership group where we do a collective call once a month, and then you get light language healing transmissions. There'll be one for every single week. And then you'll get exclusive invitations for these collective consciousness grid work. And it's only $39 a month. So you're getting like healing work for the whole month. And then you get another healing work for the whole month. And then there's like another package that's, more expensive, but then you get one-on-one session with me. So I just want to put that out there and let you know, like, this is where I'm going. Like, I am taking things and I'm bringing in the larger group consciousness and hoping to, like, gather the troops in a way. And so that's on my website. And then, as you heard, like, I'll be out in Bisbee September 22nd for a full town ceremony that Miss Lovely Carrie Blankenship, who's on the call right now, is organizing and creating as the master woo-woo of Bisbee. And and then I'm also doing a retreat in this amazing cave house that is in Bisbee as well the following weekend for 3 nights. We're going to work our way through the elements of earth, air, fire, and water. So if you just have like that kind of an experience in a half an hour meditation with me, just think what a weekend will do. So I just want to let you guys know that those are a few things that are coming up. But my big thing is I'm really excited about this membership stuff. So I'll let you all know about that. I'll send out an email. But you guys are my first crew, and I'm super excited to be offering all this amazing work and grateful for all of you. And so much love and aloha to you guys. I love you. Drink lots of water.
Thank you so much, Yamanya. It was beautiful.
You're so welcome.
It's Julie Bell. Thank you.
Julie.
Take care.
Thank you so much.
You're so welcome, sweetheart. Thanks for being here.
Thank you.
Mwah, group.
Goodbye.
Aloha.
Have a great rest of your night.
Thank you.